We are live.
Yeah.
Well, thank you and welcome again for in another episode of Transformation Thursday. This today on Wednesday because that suited our schedule a little bit better, but the conversation is still the same. And today my guest is Farnaz. Uh, um, she has an amazing story which she's going to share with us later on. But as I said in the description, she used to work at Apple. She left her country, Iran, 13 years ago to find some happiness. She's living in Germany at the moment. Um, One of the funny things that she said in when we were talking about this before is like she described herself as I should come with a warning label. Don't make eye contact when hungry. Step away and throw a salty snack. So I was thinking about what salty snack I was going to throw at you in this LinkedIn live. I don't have one, but yeah, I'm really happy you're here. I'm really curious about your story, and just like yeah, if you're willing to introduce yourself, I'm go for it, Farnaz.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Bas, for inviting me to this conversation. I am really excited about it. And don't worry, I'm not hungry. I already had my breakfast, so we're safe. But yeah, so my name is Farnaz. I originally come from Iran. I am a professional certified coach from ICF and also a mindful self compassion trained teacher. I basically help with women. I help young women who are not happy with where they are standing in their life, who are struggling with self doubt and self blame, to really go from feeling broken and paralyzed by fear to experiencing self confidence and inner peace so that they can design a life that they enjoy and they feel fulfilled in.
Okay, I'm sure that comes. You've been on a similar journey yourself, uh,
Yeah, yeah.
so and that will like take us straight into the first uh, topic that we discuss in these conversations, like
Mm.
turning points in life or life's pivotal moments. Um, and what was like one of these moments in your life that really, um, yeah, was pivotal or
Mm.
crucial? Like looking back now.
Yeah. That's funny because I don't have one pivotal moment. I have
Mhm.
so many of them.
Yeah.
And yesterday I was talking to my coach and I was telling her like I am nervous about this conversation because I don't know which pivotal moment of my life should I pick and
Hmm.
talk about. So for the conversation, to be like interesting and exciting, also inspiring for the audience. So like if I just want to name, like make a list alone, like traveling or immigrating, moving around 3 times alone with no family, no partners, deciding to leave everything behind and start from zero in a new location. Those were three pivotal moments in my life.
Hmm.
Then we have leaving Apple, after 4 years of working, who wouldn't want to really work for a big company like Apple, having like safety, financial safety, and everything? Deciding to quit that job was a pivotal moment. Um, Finding out that there was a tumor in my body and having one of my ovaries removed was also like a pivotal moment in my life. Meeting my husband was also a pivotal moment in my life. But I just want to like, I think like maybe today, like I told myself, I'm just gonna like let the energy of this conversation guide me.
Hmm.
And I know that like thinking to my clients, I know that like a lot of people struggle with feelings of dissatisfaction at work. So maybe it makes sense to talk about that phase of my life where I was really in a good place financially and work wise, and I was not feeling happy.
Hmm.
And that took me a lot of courage to leave that safety net and step into the unknown. So, yeah, 4 years working for Apple. When I started working there, I really wanted that. and I had very big vision. I wanted to become a leader at Apple, starting my job there.
Mm-hmm.
I could see myself like being there, staying there for a long time. And 4 years later, I was like, this is not my place anymore. I don't even want that leadership role here anymore. And I was feeling very unhappy. I was feeling very dissatisfied. And and then it was like a 1 year long of inner struggle to take that leap and jump. It was scary. It was really scary to know that like you're quitting your job, your full-time job with an unlimited contract, with like a good benefits that you get with your job, the discounts, that like whatever benefits we were getting, like you are leaving that. Like in what healthy mind would you want to do that? But like in the end I did that, and I am really happy. It was like a decision that even should have been taken way sooner. I waited
Mm-hmm.
too long to make that decision. It should have been taken way sooner.
Yeah, I can so relate to that, Farnas. I was a financial trader at a certain moment, and then I wanted to leave that job,
Yeah.
and I it felt like a golden cage, and I mean it really was, and it was like what you say, like it took you a year. I think
Mhm.
it took me 2 to 3 years, like from like the first thought. It's like I don't really want to do this. What am I? If I don't want to do this, then what? And then I got
Mm.
all this like chatter. It's like I'm giving up all this safety. People kill for this job. People kill for this money. And I'm like, why am I unhappy about this? Let me just like ignore it. Try to be happy about it. Just like and on and on and on and on. But what I'm really curious about is like, I remember when I was going through this, that I was it was a Sunday afternoon. I went to a party with some friends, and I was talking to a friend of mine, and I had a conversation with him, and he's like, boss, when are you gonna like act on this? You've been talking about this forever and ever and ever, and you're just not like act. And I was like, okay, you're so right. It's like,
Yeah.
I've been talking about this for so long. You have to take some action. So I went to the office on Monday, and I was like nervous as hell, and I resigned. And uh, it was funny. Like this was earlier this year. I was at another party, and this guy was there as well. And we talked about that moment this must have been like in 2008. And he's like, yeah,
Mm.
he also very vividly remembers that conversation. Maybe not so much the conversation itself, but that like in the end, he was like, you are the guy that I've said this to
Mm.
many other people before, but you are the guy that actually did it. All the
Yeah.
others, it just sticked.
Mm.
So I'm just curious, what that was for you, that moment where you um, um, yeah,
Jump.
decided to do that. And I see a
Yeah.
message from Manuel. I mean, thank you for your comment on saying it's a very interesting life story. If you have any particular
Thank you.
questions, feel free to ask, and we'll see if we can answer them. Thank you for that,
Thank
Manuel.
you.
But yeah,
Yeah.
what is it? What was that particular moment for you where you um,
I think so that 1 year that I was like struggling inside,
mhm,
it was eating my soul. And so from mild dissatisfaction, it just went deeper and more, it got more intense. It got to a point that I was struggling with anxiety. So every Sunday, knowing that Monday is coming and I have to go back to work, I was suffering from like anxiety attacks, a lot of crying, just like bursting into tears and like hearing every cell in my body screaming, I don't want to go to work.
mhm,
And Yeah, I think at some point, like talking with my partner, talking with my friends at the time, I also came to that conclusion that like you're destroying yourself. Your health is just like it's like mental health and physical health. It's just like every cell in your body is screaming. You can't just sustain there anymore. And that helped me to make that decision. I think it was like around the same time, like October, November. And I remember the day that I went to talk to my manager, one of my managers, and then I was telling her like I've made a decision to quit. I was smiling and I was not controlling it. It wasn't like ha ha ha, I'm leaving you all. It was really like without even my control, I was shining and I was smiling. And although I thought I would be sad when I will have that conversation, but I was really like happy. And then I was like, there you go. You're making the right decision. See, your body is already like showing you everything. Um, but yeah, and you know what? Going back to saying that I could have made that decision way earlier at the time. So I'm all about asking for help. And I
Uh-huh.
know I had asked for help in that year. I didn't need to pay so much from my mental and physical health to come to that conclusion. Because when I quit, then things started to show up. Everything that I had suppressed in that 1 year started showing up, like the panic attacks, and like it was a hell mess afterwards for me to recover and rebuild myself. So,
So, like in retrospect, I mean, it's always easier. Or it's always easy to say I should have taken that decision
yeah.
earlier, and why did I wait so long? But you believe that it was good for you to go through all these steps and to deal with all that resistance that you were dealing with for yourself. Like, I can't do it. It's too whatever, too risky. To the money, the benefits.
Mm,
Am I
yeah.
going to give up my leadership role that I've been having this ambition for the last
Mhm.
what,
four
5, 10
years.
years?
Yeah, 4 years. Um, I think it was unnecessary. It wasn't helpful to go through that resistance. It wasn't like a constructive form of resistance. It was my fears. And I'm gonna be blunt, if I had a coach in my life at that time
Hmm.
who could really help me confront my fears, get to know them, understand where they're coming from, and help me design an exit strategy,
Hmm.
things would have looked way better. Because my I didn't have an exit strategy. I just
Hmm.
like waited so long that I was like so broken and so completely done that, and that was like the alarms were going on, and
Yeah,
then
yeah,
I I made an act.
yeah.
But
Hmm.
if I had started talking to, and I didn't know about like such a role at the time, coach. It's because coaching is quite new.
Uh-huh.
I went through therapy, but that didn't really help me. It seemed like it couldn't really help me to get to the issue, get to the root of what was stopping me. What was I scared of? What could I do as an action plan? So if I had known about like, oh, there is a role called coaching, like there is actually people who are coaches and actually help you with exactly such situations. If I had that in my life, um, I would have paid less from my mental health, from my
Hmm. Okay.
time,
Yeah, yeah.
from my energy, from my physical health to go through that transition easier, faster, and yeah, better.
Okay. So now, I mean, I'm painting a picture. So now you're after like 4 years, like 1 year struggle, resigning. You've
Mm,
resigned. Now, now what? Did you encounter any uh, like panic, new challenges, new like, oh my God, what have I done? That kind of
Mm.
thing, or was it just like a smooth ride?
No, it wasn't a smooth ride. I did not panic about my decision. So that was like that
Hmm.
was the right decision. I never questioned it. But I was a broken soul. I
Hmm.
was broken into pieces. So it
Hmm.
took me quite long to collect all the pieces and bring them all together
Hmm.
to be able to function again.
Yeah.
So, like, imagine how much time I lost. Almost a year. It took me almost a year to recover from that 1 year of inner struggle. I was struggling and beating myself and suppressing everything. 2 years of my life went for this sabotage that I created myself, inner
Hmm.
sabotage, inner destruct. So I started again my therapies, also coaching. And that's how I understood about like the difference between like, oh, there is a therapy and there is a coaching, and like they both can help me, and like this can help me this way and this can help me this way. And so as I was like helping myself, then the path was getting more clear in front of me, knowing that like, okay, where do I want to head to?
Yeah. I mean, I had one one moment that was like, where somehow everything came together.
Mm.
So I took a so I resigned, and then my plan was to go to Brazil for
Oh,
3 months. I ended up staying 6 months, but that's not what I'm trying to tell here. So
yeah.
I remember that I was like on the flight to Brazil, and that's when I broke down. I just
Oh,
like I was just like, it's like, what have I done? This was like 6 weeks between resigning and like leaving,
yeah.
maybe 8 weeks. I don't remember so well, but I was like,
Mm.
what have I done? Like it just hit me, and
Oh,
I mean, I had a layover in Madrid, but and I cried from Amsterdam to Madrid. Then in
oh,
Madrid, I was in the corner calling my sister, crying. Then I on the flight all the way to Brazil. I was crying.
oh my
And
God.
I don't know what the guy next to me must have been thinking. It's like, what's happening with the guy? But I was just sobbing. I was like, I don't know. Up till now, it's like I don't know whether it was the uncertainty about my decision, or it was like with the uncertainty about the future, or just like
Mm.
all the emotions that have built up over all this period of time,
Yeah.
and just the letting go of it was very emotional. But
Yeah.
it was yeah, looking
Very inspiring.
yeah, I'm
I
very
really appreciate that you shared that story. I know like a lot of people have like difficulty like talking about emotions, like
oh,
some guys, but like I really appreciate that you talk about it so openly.
yeah. I mean, yeah, it happened.
Yeah.
The other thing, I mean, it was also like it was like it felt kind of like not in the moment, but then like later on, it felt like I was like it felt like closure, and I arrived
Mm.
in Brazil, and it felt like a new start, and I mean, it took me like a couple of days, to get adjusted and to get myself like going and to explore the city and things like that, and then things really took off. And I mean, I
Mm.
really appreciate like the resilience that I had in that moment,
Yeah.
because I could have also like arrived and said, this is not really a good idea. Let's fly back.
Mm.
I could have done that
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. And
Okay. Yeah.
courageous.
So, but what I get from your story as well, you get a lot of like personal growth uh,
Mm.
out of this, let's say, episode in your life.
Yeah.
Um, what would you think, or what would you say would be the biggest takeaway out of this experience?
Um, I think for me personally, it's And I can extend it to all the other experiences as well. Clarity, personal clarity. Just get clear with what you want, get clear with your why, get clear with who you truly are and where you're standing in your life. And if those are aligned together,
Mm-hmm.
that helps a lot in moving forward and knowing what your next step is. To not watch yourself and talk to yourself from a third person's perspective, because all those fears that we tell ourselves, like, it's such a good job, why would you want to leave it, these are all the conversations that other people are telling us, actually. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so we're talking to ourselves from a third person's perspective, like,
Yeah.
why would you want to leave that? Like, this is so good, everyone wants to be there. But to really do that inner work and like get to know yourself from first person's perspective,
Yeah.
um that's, I think, how you would get courage and clarity for your next steps. So this is like, for me, like, always get to the root, get to the why, get to the inner work.
Okay.
Yeah,
Good. I'd like to take it to the next part of the conversation.
sure.
Where we talk about change and how change can be challenging. And um, how do you resist change, and how do you recognize, like, these days, that you are resisting change?
Hmm. um I think, like, one of the resistance to the change is when you tell yourself you want something, and then when things are starting to fall into place, you back off.
Yeah.
You're like, maybe not, but this is actually what you want. and and this is actually something that is happening to me. Like, my husband and I want to plan a trip. It's a kind of trip that I have always wanted to experience. And now that it's finally coming to realization, I feel like, maybe actually, like, this is too soon. Maybe I should wait longer. And I'm like, oh, you're resisting because you're scared. Because all these years, this trip, this vacation has only been a dream. And now that, like, things are leading to make that into a reality, you're just like, no, maybe this is too early, maybe I'm not ready for it, maybe I should wait for the next year or another year. So, like, I catch myself resisting this because it's like, with every dream coming into a reality, there's a lot of commitment and
Yeah.
responsibility.
Hmm.
And sometimes we get used to staying in that comfort zone, knowing that my dream is not coming true. It's
Hmm.
just a dream. So we stay there because there is no commitment, no responsibility. And then when that wants to happen, and you're resisting, like, oh, it was so comfortable to just nag and dream about it. Like, I just want to travel there, but really I can never. But now it's like, oh, it's actually work. Now I have to, like, save up for it and, like, plan and change my routine and change my
Where's this
schedule.
trip going? I'm very curious. Where are you going?
So I have always wanted to have long vacation to South Asia. I have been to Malaysia before, but I this time I want to make it a bit more adventurous.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so, like, and then stay there longer and do adventurous stuff and go to retreats. And so, like, the responsibility of picking a country, deciding, planning the whole trip, that long flight over there is also, like, hard work. Who would want to sit in an airplane for that long? All of these things are, like, trying to push me back and tell me, like, maybe this is too early, like, stay a bit longer in whining about, like, you want to go to South Asia but you can't yet. So yeah, resisting.
it is. I mean, I think it's a very funny story, and it's like also like uh, where I ask a lot of times, like, well, how do you we tend to resist all change, the positive
Mm.
and the negative change.
Yes.
We think like it's only negative, but this is like such an example, good example of a positive change. You really
Yes.
want something, and then it seems to be there, and it seems to be it's tangible. I don't know
Yeah.
if you booked a ticket already, but maybe you have. But then it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's such a dream, and it's
Yeah.
been for a very long time, and now it can only well, maybe only disappoint. It's like, oh, was this my dream? have
Yes,
I organized,
exactly.
have I
Yeah.
organized it perfectly, or I should have like taken that resort, and that might have been better, or
Yes.
that retreat, and then like it's just
Yeah,
like,
this is our responsibility. You have to make a decision and
yeah,
act,
uh, yeah,
And then there's the fear of like, what if I picked the wrong location and the wrong retreat? And then like this dream that I have had for so many years is just gonna be, was that it? So yeah, I
and
don't
my
want
husband
and
is gonna be disappointed, or he's like,
yes,
whatever. You get that dynamic, and it's like, better be safe and just stay at home,
yes, and whine about it.
Yeah, yeah. Great.
Yeah.
Um, so, do you think that resistance to change could be beneficial?
Do I think resistance to change could be beneficial? I'm gonna like piggy bank on what Maggie last week said because I truly agree with her. Yes, sometimes resistance is beneficial. I mean, she was talking about like her clients, um, but even in personal life, I know people who immediately jump into action but immediately give up.
Hmm.
So, like I call them like birds. They're like birds. One day on this branch, then the next day on this other branch, and the next branch, and there is no consistency. And I think sometimes in those situations where you want to like, oh, I want to do this and also do that, and then do that, or right now, even in my case, like resistance to like want to try everything. Now that finally I want to go to South Asia, I want to try everything.
Uh-huh.
Gotta resist and gotta set boundaries for myself and say, like, listen, this is the plan. We're gonna stick to it. And okay, we leave some place for spontaneity. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. And like adventure, but like there should be also some structure and like, you know, boundary set. So like there should be a combination, I think, like a good combination of having boundaries and resistance, but also like leaving space for flowing into the experiences.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Yeah. I mean,
What do
like,
you think?
what do I think? I think
Yeah.
like when you talk about like, yeah, there is a certain level of consistency.
Mm.
If you want to create something, um,
Yeah.
whatever, whether it's in your business, or in your relationship, or in your health, it's like consistent, like going to the gym, it's like,
Mm.
or doing like uh, a sports, or
Yeah.
you only become better, or not more knowledgeable, by doing more of, let's say, the same, being
Yeah.
consistent, training yourself.
Exactly.
And if you just like, one day you play hockey, the next week you play tennis, the next week you go to
Mm.
the gym, the next week you go ice skating, is like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's all going to be, I mean, you have a lot of experiences, but there's no real consistency, like in relationships as well. It's like
Mm.
you need to create like a consistency of spending time with each other, whether that is
Yeah.
with your spouse, or with your parents, or with your children, or with your colleagues or
Yeah.
bosses, or whatever. it's never like a one time thing. It
Mm,
doesn't build
yeah,
or it doesn't create
yeah.
anything. So
And there is no depth to it then.
exactly.
Yeah.
So in that sense, yeah, I totally agree. Well, also
Mm,
it's like um, the environment around us is like constantly changing. Whether it's
mm,
and then we label it for good or for bad, but
yeah.
it's like change is basically the only consistent thing in our life.
Yeah.
Um,
Mm,
so resisting that is like, yeah, quite quite difficult. Like one of the quotes that I really uh, embrace or try to embrace because it's not easy. It's
mm,
something that I got from Byron Katie. Is accepting what is the shortest way to happiness.
mm,
So also like accepting change, like from the outside, accepting that
yeah.
is really like the access to happiness, I think. And it
Yeah.
also keeps you really in the now, because if things are changing and you want to keep things the same,
Mm,
then in another way, um, yeah, you have a conflict,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
um, or you're resisting, and then that will, yeah, I don't know. What do you think?
No, I completely agree. Like there should be like a fine balance between resisting and joining the flow. And that balance you can only find out. Like there is no formula. There is nothing we can say like two times resistance and two times going with the flow. So you will have balance. Maybe like sometimes for a while you need to resist and then for a while you need to join the flow and let life lead you or whatever is happening, the outside changes lead you. But that fine balance you can only find out when you're connecting to yourself. I think every individual, they can, if they or we all connect to ourselves and be grounded, then we know like, okay, is this moment a moment for me to resist, or is this a moment for me to let go and move forward.
Yeah.
Mm.
So if you take that to the future, I mean, what is it that you out there to create for yourself, for your clients? What can you tell us about that? And I mean, if there's a bit of like resistance around that, that's totally fine too. Um,
Yeah.
what is that for you?
So, a program that I'm working on is actually mindful self-compassion program that I am. We're going with my co-teacher. We're going to run end of this November,
Mhm.
and of course there is resistance to it because last time that I had to. So I wanted to run this program last year, but things started in Iran, like with the politics and Masa Amini, and so stopped. I postponed it because I was affected with everything going on there. Then I wanted to run that program in summer, and then I had a health issue, so I had to go through a surgery, and that was like a lot of unclarity around it. So I stopped again, refunded people, and say like, I can't right now because my mind is just too distracted with this health situation. And this is my third attempt in running this program. And there comes the resistance because I have already had two experiences of like postponing it or like not having it work out. So there comes like the resistance, like, what if this time happens again and they can't run it again? Like you will be frustrated, you will be very disappointed, and you will feel like a failure. And yeah, but I'm telling myself like, come on, like now things are stable, you don't have any excuses, and let's try it and see how it goes. And just to give some information about the program, mindful self-compassion program was a program that is designed by Dr. Christine Neff and Dr. Christopher Germer. They are the leading researchers in the field of self-compassion.
Hmm.
So I, as a trained teacher at the Center of Mindful Self-Compassion Program, am actually officially allowed to run this program for public, and I'm really excited. So, if you want to join us, we have an info session on 8th of November, 5 p.m. Central European Time. You can just DM me wherever on whatever platform you're watching this live now or later, the recorded version. This is gonna be a free webinar. We will dig a little bit into the theory of self-compassion. We'll have a small practice together with the participants, and then we will share some information about the whole program. The program is gonna be a 9-week long program, including a retreat. It's gonna be online on Zoom platform starting end of November, and yeah, that is what I'm looking forward, and I'm really excited about it.
Okay, great. I mean, and this is really about what we were talking about, being consistent.
Yes,
Things happen, but you
yeah,
have this vision you created.
yeah,
Yeah, and sometimes these things happen, and uh,
exactly.
I'm sure you'll create a great retreat. Um,
Yeah, I'm looking
so
forward to it.
yeah. Um, Anything beyond that that you're creating or that you're looking forward to? I mean, you have your
um,
trip, you have this
yeah,
this program.
yeah, the program is coming. So with my clients, I also work with individual clients, like one-on-one sessions. That's going as it was. Nothing big really changing about that. Um, the program is something new that I we will be working on with Kim. So Kim is my co-teacher. We will be teaching the program, the two of us together. Um, my personal life, the vacation, I'm looking forward next year. And yeah, I think like if anyone like if you need some conversation with someone who has gone through it before, you can feel free to DM me. Like I said, in whatever platform that you watched it, we can have a chat. I would be happy to share some insights if I can. You can also book a free transformation roadmap call with me so we can actually dig deeper into where you're standing in your life now, where you would like to be in future, and then set a strategy for you. And there's no commitment, so you don't have to like commit to any sort of payments in that call. That's just like a conversation that me and that person will have. So yeah, just DM me and I will be happy to help.
Yeah, so I mean, if you're doubting to have a conversation with Farnaz, just pick her up on this offer. I mean, and take it
Yeah,
from there.
yeah,
So thank you as well for that
thank you.
generous offer, Farnaz. Um,
Sure.
I think we came to the end, and
Yeah.
it was really nice to have you here to hear your story about
Okay.
your, sorry about that,
No worries.
about your journey, and
I really appreciate.
but more so like how you made that decision and how you came to that process and how you went through that process. How you what you're creating for your future and your clients.
Mm,
Um, and also I mean, I know you're very passionate about Iran and the difference that you want to make there as well. So yeah, thank you very
thank
much
you.
for being here. um,
Yeah. Thank you for inviting me. I really enjoyed this conversation, and I hope that the audience, whoever watches this, can get some inspiration for their personal life and take that leap of courage that they need to.
okay, great.
Yeah.
We'll be here next week again on Thursday this time. And yeah, thank you so much for watching,
Thank
and
you.
thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.